Health and function can be simplified to its basic component: optimal capillary function or interstitial fluid shifts. This is an example of a capillary bed. It is composed of a cell bed, arteries, veins, and interstitial fluid that flows between the cells. A key element is the rate of exchange on delivering nutrients versus the elimination of waste from the cellular bed. Simply stated, nourishment in, waste out. This rate of exchange is very dependent upon tissue pressures, which is the driving force of the fluids going in or out of the vessel. A key factor in tissue health and recovery from injury is maintaining this fluid shift balance. As a result of chronic injury or repetitive stress conditions, proper fluid shifts are thrown out of balance with the accumulation of excessive protein and cellular debris within the spaces between the cells. This traumatic irritation produces inflammation, which will reduce or prolong tissue healing. Cells are also under stress when exposed to a decreased nourishment in, waste out environment. Chronic inflammation is one of the main factors in causing disability while prolonging healing of the injured body part. As you can see, cells become stressed and the rate of exchange of nourishment in and waste out slows down as a result of this increased tissue pressure or inflammation. The mechanics of returning these tissues back to a healthy status is performed through the enhanced activation of the lymphatic system. These lymphatic vessels act like a giant vacuum cleaner, taking very large particles, proteins, and cellular debris out of the interstitial spaces. A fundamental principle for tissue health is returning the tissues back to a normal balance of nourishment in, waste out, by the elimination of this protein-enriched inflammation. In today's fast-paced world, productivity is key. An ergonomically correct workstation is often not enough to prevent injury. Progressive work stoppage slows employees down and reduces their work efficiency. Over time, injuries to the spine and extremities can lead to much bigger problems, especially in this example of carpal tunnel repetitive stress injury. Only with effective treatment at the source of pain will the patient find relief. Medications can help alleviate pain, but in fact, they only mask the underlying problem, and chronic use of narcotic medication often leads to abuse and addiction. One example of a common office injury is that of a carpal tunnel syndrome. It is often the result of repetitive work action, such as typing. To comprehend how to recover from disability and injury, you must understand how tissue injury occurs. The mechanics of chronic injury is very similar in carpal tunnel, low back, shoulder, and knee conditions, to name just a few. When ligaments, tendons, muscles, and nerves are functioning within homeostasis, everything works synergistically as a unit. But in chronic injuries, the connective tissue acting as the supporting microstructure begins to break down through repetitive fatigue. As more and more fibers are beginning to fail, they displace their structural burden upon the conjoining fibers until an injury eventually appears. Due to the microfracturization of connective or other tissues, the body responds by rushing proteins and fluid into the area to accelerate healing rates. This is good if the injury is acute. But when the condition is a chronic accumulative trauma, this fluid accumulation or inflammation actually prevents or hampers the healing process. As fluid enters the carpal tunnel, it begins to swell, while at the same time compressing other structures. When one of those structures being compressed is the median nerve, pain will result.